Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews. In Game 5, it is set to tip off in just over 5 hours, and Miami is looking to clinch another finals appearance while it is do or die for the Celtics tonight at home. But let's talk a little bit more about Miami. The biggest difference in the playoffs has been their offense, right? The Heat, they ranked last in points per game during the regular season, but they're scoring more. They're shooting way better from three in the postseason. So let's dive into it a little bit more, because perhaps Miami's focus, it shouldn't be on shooting threes. It should be stopping Boston from shooting from the three so well, because that's what they're going to need to do in Game 5. The Celtics are ridiculous. They're 37-2 this year when they shoot 40% from deep, and you guessed it, they did reach that mark in Game 4, which brings us to tonight, right? Vegas sees a Game 6 back in Miami on the horizon. The Celtics, you can see it here. They are the heavy favorites tonight. That's the betting line, but we know Miami doesn't put much stock into that. They've already taken games in Boston. So let's bring in our senior writer, Brian Windhorst, for the latest here, because Miami has some injuries to report. What more can you tell us, Brian?
Yeah, Gabe Vincent has been ruled out with a sprained left ankle that he suffered in the fourth quarter of Game 4. And Malika, this is significant development. He's been terrific in this series, shooting 58% overall, over 50% from three, basically been one of their main scoring options. The Heat haven't announced who they will start in his place, but you can assume that Kyle Lowry will get a boost in minutes. He has been very effective coming off the bench. We'll see if Eric Spoelstra leaves him coming off the bench or brings him into the starting lineup. But regardless, I think you can look for Jimmy Butler to have the ball more in his hands as an initiator, playing point guard. And also, Malika, keep an eye on Bam Adebayo. He can bring the ball up and play effectively, kind of as the initiator. I would expect him to do a little bit more of that tonight as well.
Yeah, point Bam. I think back to, I think it was Game 5 against the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, and that was so effective for them down the stretch. Brian Windhorst, thank you so very much. We are going to dive into Gabe Vincent a little bit more shortly, but Richard Jefferson is with us, and making his NBA Today debut, Austin Rivers is in the building. Welcome, sir.
You got a lighting effect?
I know. He even put on a tie.
Oh.
You never do that.
No. That's not what this is. I do this for the people.
It is not. It's definitely not for the people. All right, let's focus in on the Celtics here,
Yeah.
Richard. What are they going to need to do in order to force a Game 6?
They're going to win Game 5. Like that's just what it is. I was the person that said, like, when the world is betting against the Celtics, I'm going to bet for the Celtics. And look, Gabe Vincent, you saw those numbers, 17 points a game.
Yep.
40% from three. That's a tough one, and they're already shorthanded. And look, the Miami Heat have a next man up mentality. That's one of the beautiful things about their organization, and they've always been that way. But sometimes that next man up, you start running out of men. And so the Boston Celtics are going to play well, they're going to shoot well, they're going to win that game, and then the pressure starts in Game 6 for Miami.
That's the thing, though. I feel like Boston is one of those places, Austin, that when the player starts to get tight, when the lead starts to get close, the whole arena is like, is this really going to be going down? What do you think? How does Boston keep their momentum here?
I mean, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere in there tonight. We all know, the Boston crowd, the energy that's going to be in there. It's a unique situation in the fact that usually when a team wins their fourth game, when they're down 3-0, they're usually going to the other teams back home.
Right.
Boston has a unique situation where they're going back home. There is a belief that this team could do this, that they can come back. You win tonight, and this is a real series.
Yeah.
And I have Boston winning, too.
What?
Yeah, I got Boston winning. Yeah.
What? The whole thing or just tonight?
No, just tonight.
Oh. See,
yeah.
yeah. Richard got prematurely excited.
No.
Let's bring Kendrick Perkins into the conversation as well, because no one knows the Celtics quite like you. How can they push this to a Game 6, Perk?
Well, I think Jason Tatum got to be the Jason Tatum that we saw last game. And before I get started, Malika, what's up, Austin? I raised him. I remember when he was coming into the gym just in the 8th grade. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to sit at my locker and pick my brain. But look, it's all good. What's happening? I think I need to see more of Grant Williams. I got to see more of Grant Williams. People been giving Grant Williams a lot of heat for about poking the bear, but he has been playing exceptional basketball in this series. And for a guy that was getting DMPs, Mazzulla wasn't really going to him. Now, all of a sudden, he has become that guy that's been playing his role to the extreme on the offensive end, knocking down shots. And he has brought a certain type of edge and tenacity defensively that this Celtic team was lacking. So I'm looking at Grant Williams and I'm looking at Joe Mazzulla, and I'm saying we might need to see more of him and less of Malcolm Brogdon.
Vince has a little bit of experience. Yeah. Do you agree with it?
We're going to go to Vince.
You want some time here?
No. Vince got this. Vince got this.
Vince has some experience being down 3-0, coming back. Vince, what should the Celtics mentality be tonight?
The mentality needs to be obviously defensively first and turnovers. But defensively, they were able to keep the Miami Heat out of the paint. When they were keeping the Miami Heat out of the paint, they weren't allowed to get open threes. It didn't open up lobs and layups. Duncan Robinson was getting into the Boston Celtics defense at will, opening up lobs, layups, and open threes. But when they stepped their defensive intensity up, 18-0 run, they created the 4 turnovers and blew the game over. So defensively, I think is extremely important. One more thing to add. They had 10 turnovers, which they were having 15 turnovers in their losses. Jason Tatum had 5 of those. So he just has to be careful with protecting the ball. Yes, he's a scorer, usually your go-to scorer. You allow them to have a few more turnovers than you like, but 5 turnovers of your 10 is a lot, and that's something to watch.
But Vince, you've actually been there. You've been in a 3-0 hole and have climbed back. So take us inside. What's required here?
So in 20, what do you mean? Oh yeah.
Shots fired.
In 2010, Malika, like I was trying to say.
Go ahead, BC.
Shut up for a second. In 2010, yeah, we ran into a Boston Celtics night, and we came into this series real cocky, real comfortable because we won 8 in a row. We swept through Charlotte, and then we swept through Atlanta, and we ran into this Boston Celtics team, and they came into our building the first 2 games, and they beat us down. Now we go into there, it's like we just got to get one. Well, we go down 0-3. And for us, it was just like stay connected. That's the most important thing. Stay connected. And from there, obviously, you have to play perfect basketball and stay together. We started to feed Dwight Howard, and you see this guy walking out right there, Mr. Perkins, because he had 2 technicals and got him ejected, which gave us a win. Thanks, Perk. Instead of us losing the series 4-1, we ended up losing in 6. So we gave ourselves a chance by just staying together and swinging for the fence.
So Perk needs to be back on the Celtics.
Perk?
Yeah, if they want to win the series, if the Celtics want to win the series, definitely have me back on there. That's it for sure. And you know what? I don't even listen. Here's the thing. I don't even remember that series. I don't even remember getting ejected that game. But I mean, they got game 5 and they came back to Boston, and we know how and the rest was history. But VC is right though. At the end of the day, they got to take it one game at a time. And let me add this. The Celtics have not been playing well at home this playoffs.
No, they have not.
Facts.
Over the last 2 years, actually, they're just 10-11 at home in the playoffs. But a huge domino in all of this is Gabe Vincent. He spoke earlier today at Shoot-Around. Let's take a listen.
How hard is it to not be able to play tonight knowing what's on the line and how much it means to your team?
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate. I'm a competitor. I love to compete with my guys, and it's definitely the highest stakes. And, so I'll be here supporting them and watch them do their thing tonight.
Yeah, we'll adjust. We've had a bunch of other guys step up, and that's what we need tonight. It's great having a Hall of Fame quarterback, to step in.
All right, definitely a huge loss for the Heat. They're trying to make their second finals in the last 3 years. We know that you don't have much faith that they're going to get the win tonight, Rich?
No, I think Boston Celtics, look, Jason Tatum plays his best when his back is against the wall. In the last 2 postseasons, they have come back from being down 3-2. So I believe them to keep fighting. I know what they're going to do. And at home, and I think the Boston crowd, when they look at this team, they're going to give them all the energy that they need, and then they're going to get it done, and then the pressure is Game 6 Miami.
Because pressure is a fickle, funny thing, Austin. All of a sudden, when you feel a little bit more, your backs are up against the wall just slightly more if it goes back to Miami for a Game 6. How does that change things?
Well, I think the playoffs are all narrative-based. Each game, there's always a new narrative after each game, and I think right now you're looking at a team that, prior to this point, Miami's really built their whole identity off being the underdog. And now they have the lead and the pressure's switched. Now they have to close out.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of good young players who are in situations that they've never really been in. They've played well. Strauss, Vincent, I know he's out. Cody Martin. You have all these guys who have played, exceptional basketball, but this is a new situation to be in. They're favored to win over the team that went to the finals last year.
Right.
So this is a new situation for them to be in.
Well, and that's what Ramona Shelburne was saying on our show yesterday, that Jason Tatum felt like all of a sudden all the pressure's off. We're playing with house money. No one expects us to be the first of 151 teams to make a comeback here. So all of a sudden we get to play a little bit more freely. We get to play a little bit looser, Vince.
Yeah, but I would say this. Boston Celtics have the momentum. They found a way to get a win. Yes, you go off the middle. But I feel like the Miami Heat still has the advantage. They have 3 games to win 1. You have 3 opportunities, whether you get tight here or not, whether you go back for some home cooking or whatever. You know, we say your role players play better at home than on the road, all of these opportunities, but they put themselves in a position to where they have 3 opportunities to win 1. So if I'm the Miami Heat tonight, yes, we're down a man, we're swinging for the fences. Obviously, we're trying to get a game plan where we make it tough for Jason Tatum. And you're going to pick a guy on the Boston Celtics that's going to you allow them to beat you instead of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown tonight.
Well, I will say this. History is on Miami's side because the Heat, they've responded well to losses. They've actually only lost 4 games this entire postseason, and they haven't lost consecutive games at any point. In fact, take a look at this. Miami has won by an average of 15 points immediately following a loss. So they know what they're doing here.
Well, look, the Lakers hadn't lost consecutive games either, and then they got swept.
And we know how that went.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.